Key quests are required to make progress in Monster Hunter games, and most players will do other quests to grind beforehand. But what if key quests were the only quests you could do? Would the game even be possible to beat? Let's find out. The main goal is to beat 4 Ultimates Caravan and Hub in this challenge, so after much consideration, I added another rule to make this more difficult. I can only do key quests once. This further limits the amount of materials I can get. Because of this, my strategy was to gather materials first, then do the objective, which is exactly what I did for the first few key quests. When I got enough materials, I was able to upgrade my charge blade to have green sharpness even before hunting my first large monster. After doing more gathering and wiping the floor with Celtis, I upgraded my weapon once more. In order to progress from here though, I am required to go to the Everwood, which is an expedition. And since it's a required thing, I'm counting all mandatory expeditions as key quests. With this in mind, I beat Velocidrome before gathering resources and did the same for Yonkutku. Well, until I fainted. See, both the leather and default armor sets have a grand total of 6 defense, resulting in taking a lot of damage even from weak monsters. And because I can only do key quests and only do them once, I can't make a full set and get active armor skills since they work differently here than in newer titles. So my only option for now is to craft whatever has better defense so I can take less damage. But to my surprise, I got at least 1 armor skill thanks to the Conchu arms and alloy coil. But just as I fix one problem, another shows up. Yeah, I have 11 Zenny. What? 300 Zenny fee? Are you kidding? Now, because of the challenge and the rules in place, there's only one option to make enough money to afford the key quest: selling materials. I normally wouldn't do this in case I needed parts for later, but I had no other options. Well, I'm never going to make Velocidrome equipment, so... After making enough money, I hunted Quechuacha and beat it, but not before taking a bunch of damage despite having better defense. I made more armor and then began the next key quest to gather more materials before taking on the Tetsukabra. Now, I would just go ham on this monster, but given my limitations and lack of good gear, I had to try and break every part I could to get the most out of the rewards. This meant slowing down a bit since I didn't want to beat it before breaking every part. As a result of doing this, I got a bit more rewards, but it wasn't enough to make any part of the armor. After getting free stuff from the Veggie Elder and doing more gathering, I began hunting Gypsaros. Now, you might think this monster is easy if not annoying, and you'd be right, except that this monster can steal your items. And since I gathered resources before the fight, I wouldn't get them back if this thing stole them. Thankfully though, I beat this dumb turkey without getting my stuff stolen. Once I got back, I began using the farm, but there was a problem. Because of the challenge rules, I couldn't cycle quests to get resources fast. Not to mention, points aren't easily available without expeditions, so I found myself running low on them just to invest in the farm. The next key quest is to capture a Gendrum, which meant I had to switch to a weaker weapon due to how frail it is. I got it low enough to capture, but this is where I made a mistake. I was gathering and fishing a bit before proceeding, but when I went to the next area, this happened. No, 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 no. So I had to abandon, which meant all that gathering was wasted. This also brings up another rule. I may have completed the subquest during the fight, but I'm not allowed to back out using subquests because that kills the point of this challenge. I fought Gendrum again, and this time I captured it successfully. I go for the Nursilla key quest to get the claws needed for the charge blade upgrade. If I didn't get them, the upgrade wouldn't happen, and I'm not allowed to revert my save after completing the quest just to re-roll the rewards. I had to break the claws to increase the chances, but with how hard the claws were, it's been tricky. I eventually broke them and captured it soon after, but when I check the rewards, I see this. 1 claw. Are you kidding me? Oh, second. I didn't get 3. Well, this meant the charge blade wouldn't be upgradable for a while. Or so I thought, but more on that later. I noticed the Baroth armor, which would be perfect for the charge blade at this point, but because of the nature of this challenge, it wasn't likely that I'd get the full set. After repelling Gore Magala, I completely forgot about my Palicos, so I recruited them to help me out. The fight with Congalala was more annoying than I would have liked, and when it was weak, I tried trapping it upon knocking it down when... No. Yep, Had to slay it. But once I did, I was able to craft the Barroth mail since I gathered killer beetles during the Kongalala fight. I crafted some armor, then went around mining in the frozen seaway before hunting Zamtrios, which honestly didn't take much to beat, if you discount the fact that it ran me over a bunch of times. After sweeping Najarala, I repelled Gore Magala again and began the actual urgent quest. And let me tell you, this fight was harder than I was ready for. Gore hit so hard I lost over half my health, and because of my lack of good gear, it wouldn't be long before I met my demise. Twice. Oh! Again? On the last feint, I had to be careful because if I failed a quest, I would have to revert to where I last saved since I'm not allowed to keep or sell items I get from a failed quest. And of course, I didn't remember when I last saved, but thankfully I was able to capture Gore and move on. After taking a while to beat Gravios, I made the Barroth Falls and Ingot Vambraces, but still had no armor skills. Then I did a bit of melding just to see what I would get after the next key quest. Once I captured a frenzied monkey butt, I came back to check the melding and got this. I was just melding one thing. This was a pleasant surprise, but I would have to wait till later to use it. I thought I would struggle with Zinogre here, but to my surprise, he was a breeze. Rathalos was a bit more unforgiving though, but met the same fate. Then I crafted a Zinogre chest piece, which added to my defense, but again, no active skills. Now I would normally do the Celtis Queen key quest, but at this point, you're only required to do 2 out of the 3 to unlock Frenzied Tigrex, so I just skipped it. I took care of the Frenzied Tigrex no problem, and began the fight with Shigaru Magala. It took a bit longer than expected, but with Shigaru down, I got something in the berry pile that would help greatly. A Might Seed. Now on its own, the item doesn't do much other than boost your attack slightly, but it had something that would be a game changer for this run. But I put it in the farm for now to get more later. I go to the Gathering Hall, and it's at this point I realized something. Remember when I didn't have enough Nursilla claws to upgrade the Charge Blade? In the Gathering Hall, there's an urgent quest for a Nursilla, which would give me another chance to get the claws. I also needed light crystals, which I somehow didn't get from Gypsaros last time, but I do have a second chance with this capture quest. After breaking the head and then capturing the Gypsaros, the RNG gave me what I needed. I'm kidding, the rewards were really bad. What? That's it? So because of this, I had no chance of getting armor skills for a while, and didn't even get the light crystals needed for the Charge Blade upgrade. But after hunting Renopolos and then Tetsukabra, I at least made the Barroth Vambraces and almost had a full set. It's really too bad I couldn't get the rest of the armor due to that stupid turkey! I swept through Quechahuacha and Celtis, then got the urgent quest with Nursilla. I had a hard time breaking the claws because I missed my attacks so much, but once I broke the claws and beat the Spooter, I finally got the claws needed, and all that's left are the light crystals. I began a key quest with Kezu and got 1 light crystal from mining. Then after capturing the worm, my main Palico got the second one, which was much appreciated. This allowed me to finally upgrade the Charge Blade to have better attack and green sharpness. After hunting a Rathian and then a Zamtrios, I must not have realized that I got a Wrath Wing Talon because I saw this. This has attack +5. Okay, I'm making this right away. Now, if you remember the Might Seed from earlier, I got more from the farm, and as a result, I was able to craft an attack deco, but only one since I could no longer get Jaggy Scales at this point. Despite having the gloves and deco though, it still wasn't enough to get an active skill. The next key quest was a Najarala, but this one was important because of one thing: Scatterfish. See, when I got the Artillery +5 charm, I knew that eventually I would need artillery decorations, and the required materials are Barrel Bomb Large Pluses, which need Scatterfish to craft. And the best place to get this fish is in the Primal Forest, which I won't have access to for a while after this quest. So I went fishing for a bit until I got all 10 Scatterfish, and then beat the giant snake. Our next urgent was Gore Magala, and I thought about getting his Charge Blade because for 1, it has more raw, and 2, it has decent affinity. The only issue is that if I didn't break any of the parts, it wouldn't be craftable, so I had to break every single part to increase the reward chances. But if you thought the last Gore was bad, this one was even worse. Despite my decent defense, he was still hitting hard and made it difficult to break any parts, especially the feelers. But after 20 grueling minutes, I broke every part and captured it. I go to check to see if I can craft the Charge Blade, and... What? No! Despite how upset I was, I still had a decent charge blade, which by the way, needed upgrading since I had access to high rank for Carbolite ore and could now get Firestones in the Gravios key quest. I needed 5 Firestones, so I was really hoping I would get enough here. But sadly, I only got 2. And even after beating Gravios, my Palicos didn't get them either. While I could easily get enough Carbolite ore, I wouldn't get more Firestones until I reached the next Volcanic Hollow key quest in high rank. So, would I have to go through high rank with a low rank charge blade? Not exactly. There was indeed a solution to this, and it may surprise you. The solution was the slickaxe. For those who don't know, combining this item with an ore duplicates that ore. And since the weapon required 3 more Firestones, all I would need are 3 slickaxes to copy enough Firestones to upgrade my weapon. The way you get a slickaxe, though, is a bit tricky. In 4 ultimates, there are only 2 ways to get them. 1, from eating Gastronome tunas, and 2, from trading Dundorma tunas with the Veggie Elder in either the Everwood or Volcanic Hollow. But since I can't access those maps until way later, the Gastronome tunas would have to do. But then something rather confusing happened. I was getting Gastronome tunas during the day because they spawn more on this map, and I wasn't getting any slickaxes, so I tried looking it up on Koranico, and it basically said nothing, so when I looked up the Dundorma tuna, it gave me a bit more info, so I thought, maybe you don't get slickaxes from Gastronomes in 4U? So I fished in Dundorma for a while and was getting nothing, so I looked it up again, and this fish is apparently really rare, so I had to wait. But then I lost patience, so I did even more research and found that it's just easier to get slickaxes from Gastronome tunas. I was just having bad RNG. Man, that was a roller coaster of confusion. So after wasting my time with that confusion fest, I went back to the urgent quest and started fishing at Area 9. But I had to be careful with the time I spent because I still had to get Carbolite ore and beat Daimyo Hermitar. Thankfully, I got all 3 slickaxes from eating Gastronomes, but it did take 18 minutes, so I had to quickly get the Carbolite needed and fight Hermitar. I was doing pretty well until I fainted from a water attack, but because it was low on health anyway, it was captured in no time. And thanks to the slickaxes, I cloned enough Firestones to finally get the Blackguard. But now we had to get better armor. The only real option at the moment was the high rank alloy armor, as it's easy to make and doesn't require much. Right after deciding on the armor though, I get a Dundorma tuna not even from sitting there fishing for hours. I was fishing for coin purchase to sell so I could afford the power and armor charms, and once I buy them, I see another Dundorma tuna. Huh. I'm sure that was just a coincidence. If you want to see where this goes, watch this part next to see if I can still make it past high rank in this challenge. If the video isn't out yet, consider watching this one where I hunt 100 monsters in one expedition.